They say every apartment has its own sounds. Pipes moaning, wood expanding, neighbors pacing. But none of that explains what started happening after I moved into apartment 3B. It wasn't supposed to be permanent. The lease was month to month, and the rent was the cheapest in the city because no one else wanted it. The landlord, an old man with cloudy eyes, told me the last tenant left suddenly. Didn't say why, just said she moved in the middle of the night. At the time, that didn't bother me. I was tired, broke, and just needed a roof over my head. The first few nights were uneventful. I unpacked what little I owned, pushed my old bed frame against the far wall, and tried to ignore how cold the floor felt, even in late September. But on the fifth night, the noise began. 2:47 a.m. It started faintly, a dry, rhythmic scratch, scratch, scratch that seemed to come from directly beneath my bed. At first, I assumed it was an animal. The building was ancient and the ground floor wasn't sealed properly. I figured it had to be rats, or maybe a raccoon that found its way into the crawlspace. But what made me freeze was the rhythm. Not frantic or random like a trapped animal. Slow, deliberate, almost intentional. I sat up, heart hammering, listening. The scratching paused. Then, after a long silence, 3 taps against the wooden floorboards, like knuckles knocking. 1, 2, 3. I whispered into the darkness, "Hello?" Silence. I leaned over, phone in hand, and turned on the flashlight. The light swept across the dusty wooden floor, empty. I knelt down slowly, my pulse throbbing in my ears, and peered under the bed. Nothing. Just shadows and the faint smell of something damp, almost metallic. I laughed nervously to myself and said out loud, "Great, I'm talking to rats now." The sound didn't come back that night. The next morning, I went to work like normal, trying to shake it off. Old building, thin floors, maybe it came from the apartment below. But that night, the scratching returned. Same time, 2:47 a.m. Same rhythm. I grabbed my phone again, but this time, I decided to record it. I wanted proof, even if it was just to show the landlord that something was living under the floor. I hit record and placed the phone near the edge of the bed. Then, I waited. The scratching grew louder, closer. It almost sounded like nails dragging against the wood, circling beneath where my head rested. And then, 3 soft knocks. 1, 2, 3. Exactly like before. My breath caught in my throat. The air in the room grew colder, heavy like static. And then I heard something new. A whisper. So faint, I thought it was in my head at first. A voice, humming a melody I didn't recognize. A lullaby, slow and broken. I froze. The voice was under the bed.
I wanted to look, but something in me, some instinct, screamed, "Don't move." I just lay there staring at the ceiling, barely breathing, until the sound faded away. When I played the recording the next morning, my blood went cold. The file was empty. No scratching, no humming, not even M. Just static. Like the microphone had captured nothing. That was when I started to realize something wasn't normal. The handprints. By the 4th night, I was sleeping on the couch. but like it was following me. So I decided to test something. Before going to bed, I sprinkled baby powder on the floor around the bed. I'd seen it in ghost shows. They said if something physical moved in the night, it would leave tracks. I barely slept. Every creak, At 2:47 a.m., it started again. Only this time, the scratching was deeper, heavier, almost beneath the floorboards. Then came a dragging sound, slow, scraping, like something trying to pull itself upward. And then the whisper. "You know who I am." I bolted upright, heart racing. It wasn't my imagination. That voice, it was right under me. I whispered, "What do you want?" No reply, just the sound of nails dragging. Then, the bed moved. Just slightly, enough for me to feel the shift in weight. I didn't wait. I grabbed my keys and ran out of the apartment barefoot, standing in the hallway for the rest of the night, shaking. When dawn came, I forced myself back inside. The baby powder was disturbed, smeared, and beneath the bed were clear prints. Not footprints, handprints. Small, human-looking, pressed deep into the dust. 10 of them, as if someone had been crawling out from underneath. I snapped a photo, but when I checked my phone, the image was corrupted. Just black static. That was the moment I decided to move out. But before I could I noticed something taped to the headboard. A note. Written in my own handwriting. "Don't move the bed again." I dropped it instantly, my stomach twisting. Because I never wrote that note, and I hadn't left any tape or paper in the room. That's when I heard the whisper again. Behind me this time, close enough that I felt its breath. "You moved it again." The bed creaked, and something, I swear to God, started to crawl out from underneath. 3 a.m. The lights flickered. The air smelled of rot and soil. The scratching turned frantic, desperate, and then I saw a hand reach out. Long fingers, skin gray and thin like parchment, nails dark and cracked. It gripped the edge of the mattress and pulled. A face followed. But it wasn't fully formed, like it was still being made. Eyes milky white, jaw twisting too wide, mouth opening with a wet, bone-cracking sound. It looked straight at me and smiled. "You left the light on." That's when everything went black. When I woke up, the sun was up, the lights were off, and the bed was back against the wall, as if it had never moved. The note was gone, the powder was gone, and the photo on my phone had been replaced with something else. A picture of me sleeping from the floor level, taken from under the bed.
It's been 3 nights since the last incident, or at least since the last one I remember. The strange part is, I've started losing time. I'll sit down to eat or scroll my phone, and then suddenly the clock reads 2:47 a.m. every single night, as if time skips just to bring me back to that moment. At first I thought it was insomnia or stress, but now I'm not so sure. Distortions. I bought a mirror at a thrift shop last week. an old rectangular one with a wooden frame. I thought it might make the apartment feel less claustrophobic. But ever since I hung it on the wall across from the bed, I've started seeing things that shouldn't be there. Not reflections, exactly. More like delays. If I wave my hand, the reflection follows, but a fraction of a second too late. And sometimes when I blink, I catch glimpses of something else in the mirror. Not me. Not human. Something crouching where the bed is, its eyes glowing faintly in the dark. I tried covering the mirror with a blanket, but when I woke up the next morning, the blanket was folded neatly on the floor, and written in the dust on the glass were 3 words: I see you. I can't tell anyone. Who would believe me? I barely believe myself. I called the landlord to ask if anyone else had ever complained about strange noises or anything unusual. He got quiet for a long time. Then he said, "You just stay out of that room at night, son," and hung up. When I called back, he didn't answer. That was the night I decided to set up cameras. The recording. I positioned my phone on the dresser, pointing toward the bed. I used a motion detection app so it would only record when something moved. That night, I forced myself to sleep on the couch again. I left all the lights off just to see what would happen. I didn't sleep well. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind made my heart jump. But I didn't hear the scratching this time. For once, the night was silent. When I checked the footage the next morning, there were 4 motion alerts. The first 3 showed nothing, just an empty room. But the 4th, at exactly 2:47 a.m., the camera picked up movement. The video showed the edge of the bed shifting slightly, like something pressed up from underneath. The sheets lifted for a moment, then settled back down. And then a hand, small, gray, skeletal, reached out from the darkness beneath the frame. It stayed there, twitching, before slowly retreating. But the worst part wasn't the hand. It was the last frame. For less than a second before the footage cut off, I saw a face pressed against the side of the mattress, pale and stretched thin, smiling up toward the camera. When I blinked, it was gone. I deleted the file immediately, but that didn't stop it. The next morning, my phone glitched. Every time I opened the gallery, the screen flashed white for a split second, showing that same face. And then it crashed, over and over. The second note. That night, I tried sleeping in my car. It was freezing outside, but I felt safer, until I woke up at 2:47 a.m., shivering with condensation covering the inside of the windshield. Someone had drawn on the glass from the inside. A single handprint, smaller than mine, and next to it, written in the fog, "Come home." I didn't move back in right away. I stayed at a motel across town for 3 nights, trying to convince myself I'd imagined everything. But on the 3rd morning, when I checked my phone, I found a new video saved in my gallery. I hadn't recorded it. It was my apartment, the bed, the mirror, the cracked phone screen, but filmed from under the bed. The footage was shaky, like someone was crawling closer to the edge, and then my voice spoke on the audio. "Please stop recording this." Except, I hadn't said that. The voice returns. I went back to the apartment that evening, just to grab the rest of my stuff. I planned to move out for good. But when I opened the door, something felt off. The air was heavy, thick, and the lights flickered, even though the bulbs were new. Then I noticed the handprints. They were everywhere. On the walls, the floor, the mirror, hundreds of them, each one smeared in that same fine layer of dust. And all of them were facing upward, as if something had been climbing out from below the floorboards. In the middle of the wall above my bed, scrawled in uneven letters, was another message. You shouldn't have watched. That's when I heard the scratching again. Not beneath the bed this time, but behind me, inside the wall. The same rhythm as before. Slow, deliberate. Then 3 knocks.
I turned slowly. The wall bulged outward, the plaster bending, cracking, and I saw something pressing against it from the other side. A hand pushing through like the wall was made of skin. I stumbled backward, knocking over a chair, and the sound stopped. The bulge retracted. The wall went still. And then the voice whispered again. You watched me. Now I'll watch you. I ran. Out the door, down the hall, out into the night. I didn't even lock the door behind me. I didn't go back. Not that night. 2 days later, curiosity got the better of me. I went to the building office and pretended to be a friend of the last tenant, a woman in her late 20s, according to the paperwork. The manager hesitated, then said quietly, "She broke her lease last year." When I asked why, he told me she'd been found wandering the street barefoot at 3 a.m., muttering something about a man under the bed. They said she was institutionalized afterward. Her name was Mara. When I got back to my car, I realized I'd seen that name before. It was carved faintly into the underside of the bed frame, right where the handprint started. That night, I stayed with a friend across town. But at 2:47 a.m., I woke up again, this time to the sound of scratching. Except it wasn't in my room. It was coming from beneath the couch I was sleeping on. I jumped up, pulled the couch away, and found nothing. But there, in the thin layer of dust beneath the cushions, were new prints. Handprints. Tiny ones. That's when my phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. You can't move away from what's under you. Then a photo. A still image of me standing in my friend's living room, taken from the floor. Again, from beneath where I'd been sleeping. I don't remember driving back to the apartment. All I remember is walking inside, flashlight trembling in my hand, and feeling like I was being pulled toward that mirror. The blanket I had used to cover it was gone again. The glass shimmered faintly in the dark. I stepped closer. At first, the reflection looked normal, just me, tired and pale. But then the light behind me flickered, and the reflection didn't move. It just smiled. My own reflection smiled at me. I stumbled backward, knocking over the chair, and the reflection's smile widened too wide, and then something stepped into view behind my reflection. Something crawling. Long limbs, white eyes. It grinned with a mouth that stretched from ear to ear. Then, in the reflection, it placed a hand on my shoulder, and I felt it. Cold. Real. I turned, and nothing was there. When I looked back at the mirror, the reflection was gone. Only the bed was visible now, and from underneath it, two glowing eyes stared out. The air feels thicker now. Every sound echoes. Every shadow moves when I blink. I can't leave anymore. Whenever I try, I wake up back in bed, no matter where I fall asleep. It's like the apartment has swallowed me whole. The scratching hasn't stopped. It's louder, faster. It's beneath me, beside me, inside the walls. I keep telling myself it's not real, that it's sleep paralysis or a breakdown. But then I hear the whispers again. They don't sound angry anymore. They sound patient, almost gentle. Lay down. You're tired. Come closer. There's room for two. I don't want to sleep, but I can feel it waiting just below the mattress, breathing in sync with me. Last night I woke up with something wrapped around my ankle. Cold fingers. When I pulled free, there were red marks, like handprints burned into my skin. I can still feel them. I've started writing this all down, not because I think anyone will believe me, but because I need someone to know. If I disappear, if you find this recording, don't come here. Don't look under the bed. Don't listen at the walls. And for the love of God, if you hear scratching at 2:47 a.m., do not answer it. Because once you hear it, it knows your name.
I don't know how many days have passed. Time doesn't move here the way it used to. Sometimes the clock says 2:47 a.m. Sometimes it just stops. Frozen hands. As if the apartment itself is stuck in that moment, looping endlessly. I can't tell when I'm awake anymore, or when I'm dreaming. Because every time I open my eyes, I'm back in bed, and I can hear it breathing beneath me. The things that moved. At first, I tried ignoring the noises, the scratching, the whispering, but now things are moving when I'm not looking. The chair in the corner is never where I leave it. The lamp flickers when I walk past. My keys end up on the floor, arranged neatly in a circle. Last night, I found a drawing pinned to the wall above my bed. It was crayon, messy, uneven, the kind of thing a child might make. But the lines were frantic, looping, almost violent. It showed a stick figure lying in a bed, and another figure crouched beneath it, drawn all in black. At the bottom, in shaky handwriting, it said, "He wants out." The mirror again. I tried breaking the mirror. I took a hammer and swung as hard as I could, but the glass didn't shatter. It rippled, like water. For a second, my reflection disappeared, and I saw a dark room, not mine, a basement or tunnel filled with faint light. Something was moving in there, crawling. When the reflection came back, I wasn't alone in it anymore. Behind me stood a tall, thin shape. I couldn't see its face, but I knew it was smiling.
Then a whisper came from the mirror itself, not from behind me, from inside the glass. "He's awake now." I ran from the room, slammed the door, and didn't look back. But even through the walls, I could still hear the faint echo. Scratch, scratch, scratch. The shadow under the door. That night, I locked the bedroom door. I wedged a chair under the knob. Then I sat in the living room with all the lights on and waited. 2:47 a.m. The air pressure changed, like before a thunderstorm. Then came the scratching again from the other side of the bedroom door. Slow, measured, rhythmic. I held my breath and watched the gap beneath the door. After a few seconds, a shadow moved across the crack. Not a person's shadow. It was too thin, too elongated, and it didn't match the movement of anything I could see. Then a hand, pale, almost translucent, slid out from underneath the door. It reached across the floor, fingertips brushing against the tile, searching. I froze. I couldn't even scream. Then the hand stopped. It turned its palm upward, and words began forming on the skin, dark, ink-like lines burning into its flesh. "Let me in." The voice inside the walls. I started hearing it during the day, too. Whispers in the pipes, knocking in the vents. My name whispered between each breath. At first, it was faint, almost kind. Then it started mimicking me. When I talked to myself, trying to stay sane, it would echo my voice a second later, repeating everything I said, but slightly wrong. If I said, "I'm fine," it whispered back, "I'm not." If I said, "Leave me alone," it answered, "You're never alone." I stopped talking after that, but silence didn't help, because when I stopped speaking, it started laughing. The ceiling crawler. 2 nights ago, I woke up to a strange sound, like nails dragging across wood, but above me. I looked up. Something was moving on the ceiling. Its limbs bent the wrong way, its body contorted as it crawled across the plaster like a spider. Its head turned backward, completely around, until its face was looking straight down at me. It grinned and whispered, "You're on my side now." Then it dropped, straight onto the bed. I screamed, rolled to the floor and ran. But when I looked back, there was nothing there. Just deep handprints pressed into the mattress, and a hollow voice from under the bed saying, "Too slow." Marks. Every morning now, there's something new carved into my skin. Small words, etched like scratches, not bleeding, just there, like writing beneath the flesh. They spell things like stay, under, mine. I can feel it inside me now, like a second heartbeat, pulsing in time with my own. Sometimes I wake up halfway under the bed, as if I'd been trying to crawl there in my sleep. Sometimes I see footprints leading from the bed to the mirror, always dusty, always stopping just before the reflection.
But lately, the footprints don't stop. Now they come out of the mirror. The room below. Last night, I did something stupid. I decided to crawl under the bed, just to see, to prove to myself that it was empty. I took my phone, turned on the flashlight, and got down on the floor. At first there was nothing, just dust and old boards. But as I moved the light, I noticed something strange. The floorboards weren't flush with the ground. There was a gap, a black line running down the middle. When I pressed on it, it gave way slightly, like a hidden panel. And from underneath, I felt a breeze, cold, damp, rotting. Then faintly, I heard it, "Come closer." My hand trembled as I pried up one of the boards. Beneath it wasn't dirt or insulation. It was a hole, a tunnel, going straight down. And at the bottom, I saw movement. Something pale, shifting in the dark, breathing slowly. Then two eyes opened, and a voice whispered,
"You've already been here." Again. I don't know how I got back into bed. I just remember waking up and realizing I couldn't move. Sleep paralysis, again. But this time, I wasn't alone. I could feel weight pressing down on the mattress beside me, fingers brushing my face, breath against my ear. Then, a voice, my voice, whispered, "You shouldn't have looked." The weight shifted, and from the corner of my eye, I saw something rising from under the bed, a shape, long and wrong, dragging itself out, pulling its own shadow behind it. It leaned close, its face inches from mine, and I saw that it wasn't a monster, it was me. My face, twisted, skin gray and stretched tight, eyes hollow, mouth smiling. It whispered, "You finally let me out." The switch. The next morning, I woke up on the floor. The bed was empty. The mirror was cracked, not shattered, but spiderwebbed, like something had forced its way through. When I looked into it, the reflection didn't move. It stood perfectly still, watching me. Then, slowly, it smiled, and I realized I was seeing my old apartment behind it. I wasn't in my room anymore. I was inside the mirror. I screamed, pounded on the glass, but no sound came out. And on the other side, my reflection, or whatever it was, turned away and walked out of frame. It took my phone, my keys, my body. It left. I'm still here, inside this reflection, watching through a thin layer of glass as the thing wearing my face lives my life. Sometimes it looks at me and waves. Sometimes it whispers through the glass, "Don't worry, I'll take good care of your bed." Final entry. It's 2:47 a.m. again. Every night the same. Every night the scratching starts again beneath the floor of this mirrored world. And I can see the new tenant. A woman this time. She just moved in. She seems happy. She doesn't know, but she will, because the scratching has started for her too. And soon, she'll look under the bed, and when she does, she'll see me.